Oh, we are back, the Josefa Salinas Show. Welcome. I am so excited to have with us today. I'm going to say it just one more time. Dawn Osborne, Jeffrey Osborne's daughter, but we have left that in the past. Now she is just Dawn and doing amazing things. When I met you, I think the first time we met was when you were working with the Stop the Violence Foundation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And doing incredible work in the community. So you've gone from being a celebrity's daughter to this amazing work in the community. Let's talk about that transition.
I came into the community working with a friend of mine who was a TV and film agent, and so I was bringing Hollywood to the inner city. I think the first celebrity we brought to the inner city was Master P, and so we brought him to meet with the kids and everything else. Well, that was wonderful, and then I fell in love with the program. I thought, these kids are precious. They just need exposure. They just need opportunity. So I started working with the organization, and I started writing. I had learned to write grants prior to. I have had this love-hate dance that I do with entertainment. Like, I'm in entertainment, and then I run as far away from it as I can. Because growing up, Jeffrey is what I'll call. I fondly call it growing up, Jeffrey. You deal with Hollywood on so many different levels, and it can be a wonderful place to work, but it's very pretentious. So the pretentiousness of Hollywood just doesn't fit with me. I'm just a regular old girl that just really loves people, and the pretension just never works. So I'll dabble in Hollywood, and then I'll run far away from it. And so the community-based working just spoke to my spirit. To be able to open the eyes or expose a young lady to opportunities just delighted me. You know, when I was working with Stop the Violence, we were working with some kids in the Pueblos, which is one of the housing projects, and we took them to the beach, and they had never been to the beach. That baffled me. Wow. Because they're on Imperial Highway. If you go straight down Imperial, one bus all the way to the end, you're at Dockweiler Beach. Right. And they had never done that because they never go outside of the 4 blocks or a mile or so of their home environment. And so at that point, I just pledged to creating opportunities for exposure to children in the inner city. And I've been there ever since.
So in doing that, I know that there were several programs that were real dear to your heart. One of them was, I think it was mothers of children who had been murdered.
Exactly. We had a program called Mother to Mother, and it was for mothers who had lost their children to violence, either gang violence, gun violence, whatever have you. And with that organization, we were doing a press conference, and I found that there was a mother there that had lost her child, and there was another mother, and she was the only one that can console her. So I decided to bring the mothers together and create like a peer buddy system where as you're dealing with your pain, I can tell you kind of my experience, and I can't tell you what to expect, but I can share my experience. And it created such a loving group of mothers that they bonded together, and we really did affect some change. We went into the police stations. We were able to talk to the detectives because they had become desensitized handling cases over and over again. And so the mothers, hearing from the mothers, enabled them to re-engage with their work on another level. We worked with gang-involved youth. We had the mothers tell them the stories of what that activity caused and the loss and the pain. And we had hardcore gang members in tears and just pledging to not be active in gangs anymore because they saw the pain of a mother that had lost their child, and it made them think of their mothers.
Wow, now see, that's making quite a difference. And how long did you stay with this program? And I think if I remember correctly, you kind of started helping a lot of people with grants and finding funding for various programs within the community. So a clear passion for the community.
I was with Stop the Violence until 2005, and then after that, I started working with multiple organizations. And since then, I probably average about $12 or $15 million in funded grants a year that I've been able to bring into the community. So I work as an independent consultant working with nonprofit organizations because I always fight for the underdog. And there's so many small to mid-sized nonprofit organizations that can't afford a full-time development person and can't afford real staff to be able to write the kind of grants that really get funded. So I decided to use my pen to save the day because I do not have the capacity to do the actual work because I want to take all the children home with me. It's like, you can come home with me. Oh, no, you can come home with me. Oh, no, we can fix that. Come to my house. And so that wasn't going to work. My children were just like, Mom, really? You can't bring every kid home. Okay, so I won't do direct service anymore. I'll just go get the money so that everybody else can do direct service.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the problems that nonprofits have. Give me the top 3 things that nonprofits do wrong.
Well, they don't solicit funding. They may get one grant and become complacent, and then that funding goes away and they end up having to close. They don't know, they're inexperienced in using budgets from public dollars. And they don't necessarily know the compliance laws of nonprofit organizations or even governance, because 7 times out of 10, a nonprofit organization is started by someone who has a passion or who has experienced a loss in one way or another and wants to fix that. And so they start something within that cause, but they don't really understand how to run a nonprofit organization. And so they're oftentimes out of compliance. And that's the next phase of what I started doing, was really assisting the executive directors, coaching them to creating solid businesses so that if I go and get you $1 million, we don't all go to jail because you didn't know how to use that money.
Right, I come back and go, Ms. Osborne, you wrote this grant, so.
Exactly. So I really began assisting them staying in compliance, doing their reporting, because their reporting skills weren't. And you know, a lot of people have a passion, they want to do the service, but paperwork isn't a strength. And so I create systems. Let's create the system so that you can have staff do A, B, C, and D, stay in compliance with the grant, and be able to get funded again so you can continue to do the good work in the community.
Now, I had a friend who teaches nonprofit, and he said, if it's your passion, it's a hobby. He goes, you have to look at it as a passion and a business. Running a nonprofit is a business. And I think a big misconception that the community has is that a nonprofit can't make money. And I tell people all the time, well, hospitals, many of them are nonprofits. Universities are nonprofits. Don't you think they make a lot of money? And they'll go, well, you know, I never really looked at it like that. So a nonprofit can make money. In fact, they encourage you to become self-sufficient. Am I right?
Absolutely. Nonprofits can make money. They encourage you to be self-sufficient. If you look at nonprofits and the top nonprofits, there's one that made $32 million. And that's a small budget, because you have billion-dollar annual budgets for nonprofit organizations. It's a matter of diversifying your income streams. It's not a charity. It is a business, by all means. And so you should have multiple income streams, and you should look to engage unrestricted dollars as much as restricted dollars that come in from grants.
Well, we're going to continue talking with you because you have transformed to become a life coach now, kind of leaving the nonprofit sector a little bit behind and coaching people's lives. And that's where we're going next with life coach Dawn right here on the Josefa Salinas Show.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.